Being asked to use the diagram below to determine angle psi. Alright, so for this angle, we can approach this by using, I would say, using the dot product. And we can also find out what C is by using Pythagorean theorem. So it came out that the magnitude of the vector is going to be 5.83. And now, since we have our magnitude of C, we can go ahead and dot the magnitude of vector D in its direction and multiply it by the cosine of the angle. And we'll just do some manipulations, and then we can come out with the angle to be 180 degrees minus 21 degrees. So then the smallest angle between vector D and the horizontal line would be 59 degrees. And then for part B, as to draw a new vector G, which is 3 times the magnitude of D, and determine the smallest angle between G and the horizontal line. And for this one, I actually used, instead of the cosine function, I used a tangent function, arctangent, which would be opposite over adjacent. So the opposite side, the y component or vertical component of vector G would be 15 divided by its horizontal component. Since it's pointing in the left direction, it's going to be -9, which would give us a -59 degrees. And that's just a negative, just to let us know which direction the angle is pointing in. And then for part C, it says what is the angle between G and D. So you want to the next slide. So for this part, and for this part, what we would have is, so for vector G, go ahead and solve for angle theta. So using the dot product and doing some manipulations of that, where theta would be 59 degrees. But we want to find the angle between G and D. So then I just go ahead and split this angle up into pretty much, we have split up with the vertical axis here. So I labeled this angle beta. So beta would be 90 degrees minus theta, which would give us 31 degrees. And then for vector D, it's pretty much the same, similar approach to finding alpha, which would make sense. It's going to be 31 degrees also, because they're both same vectors, but just pointing in different directions. So then we add to, I guess we'll label this angle here beta plus alpha is gamma. So that angle would come out to 62 degrees. Come on to the this last few sections here. We'll go straight over to it. So we're asked to draw vector H, which is pointing in the opposite direction of D, and then find the smallest angle, which the angle will still be 59 degrees. It's just pointing in a different direction, but the angle hasn't changed. And since they're pointing in different directions of each other, so part E is asking to put vectors D and H tail to tail. They're in completely different directions of each other, so the smallest angle between the two would be